You have proposed a budget of 26 trillion naira. What specific impact are you trying to achieve? Dr. Austin Mah to federal government. Exactly. Because the Tinubu's government is proposing a budget of 26 trillion naira for 2024. The question is, what impact are they trying to make or they intend to make with this budget? Because if you look at all our expenses, there's nothing that has to do with investment. It's all liability all through. We don't have national assets that will return all this money. Apart from eyeing the oil and gas, that is the only place that we can make money. All other sectors are dead. And if you x-ray the budget, it's basically going to be spending on liabilities and none on asset investment. Wow. But let's dive into the details and see the question that Austin Mah is trying to ask federal government. In an interview with AIT during the Kakaki program, Dr. Austin Mah, editor-in-chief of Daybreak newspaper, asked that now that the federal government is proposing a budget of 26 trillion naira for the year 2024, what is the specific impact that the government is trying to achieve and how people-centric is the budget? Austin Mah made the statement while reacting to the newspaper story that covered the proposed 2024 appropriation budget of 26.01 trillion naira by the federal government. Mah said that the budget in Nigeria since 1999 is just an empty ritual which has no specific impact on the Nigerian economy, he said. Unfortunately, whenever some of them try not to be overly critical about the government, but decide to reason with the government, he said one will ask, what is Tinubu's government doing differently that will make someone have hope in the Nigerian economy? He said that until now, there is nothing different. Tinubu's administration is doing differently. Okay, so there's nothing different Tinubu's administration is doing differently. You've proposed a budget of 26 trillion naira. What specific impact are you trying to achieve? How people-centric is this budget? He said the fact that the government is going to spend 8 trillion in the proposal presented on servicing debt is worrisome, coupled with the fact that they will be borrowing $1.5 billion and 800 million from the IMF and African Development Bank. So that is the challenge now. You are proposing a budget of 26 trillion naira for 2024, and you are trying to use 8 trillion to service debt. Okay, he said the fact that the government is going to spend 8 trillion in the proposal presented on servicing debt is worrisome, coupled with the fact that they want to borrow $1.5 billion from IMF and World Bank, okay, and then $800 million from African Development Bank. So you are servicing debt with 8 trillion and you are going to borrow another $1.5 billion and another $800 million, and you are still, so you are owing, at the end of the day, you are still indebted, you are still in deficit. So, and how people-centric is this budget? That's the question that Austin Mah is asking. And I'm sure the people that are raising this budget will not be able to answer this question, I tell you. Just like he's saying that since 1999, our budget have been like a ritual. Just every year you do budget, but what do you show for the budget? Nothing. Okay, after paying a fixed salary that they're able to pay, the rest is shared. Okay, they go into projects that are never completed or never contributed meaningfully to the growth of the Nigerian economy. So the question Austin Mah is asking, what is Tinubu's government doing differently? Because from the time he entered till now, he has actually not done anything differently to show that he is people-centric or to show that he will do something that will make people to have hope in Nigerian economy. Okay, because the way it is the economy is in shambles and cannot be trusted. Exchange rate is gone. Because of the fair price, all other things about the country is gone. And it's quite unfortunate, very worrisome. You are going to do 28 also 26 trillion naira budget, but you are planning to use 8 trillion to service debt. You are also planning to borrow another $1.5 billion from IMF or World Bank, and also trying to borrow another $800 million from the African Development Bank, ADB. Okay, very worrisome, very, very worrisome. And like Austin is saying, at the end of the day, the nation is going to still be in deficit, and that is not good enough for us as a nation. We can't continue to be in deficit and expect to make progress. No. And people are making comments. Somebody say further devaluation of the naira loading soon. Exactly. They're going to devalue it further. Governance of no direction. Few wicked satanic people supported their own. Nigeria is finished. And the thing is very, very bad situation that we're finding ourselves. I tell you, the naira is going to be devalued with the way things are going. The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund are deceiving Nigerian government to continue to take actions and make monetary policies that will cause naira to be devalued by default. And they are not reasoning. They are not thinking. They think by the time they say they will promise to borrow their money, that they are doing them good. They're not doing us any good at all. Until naira become tissue paper, IMF and APC will not rest. Those that was hailing Buhari for borrowing, where are they today? Let them keep borrowing now. Now you guys go best the pains and still pay it. IMF is deceiving Nigerians, and that is true. IMF is deceiving Nigerians and Nigerian leaders, and it's a situation that is very, very terrible. At least to pay back the money we spent on Nigeria during the last election. Any other question? Can you imagine? So are you saying that the money that was spent in the election was borrowed? Because in everything we do in Nigeria, we borrow. I don't know. I've never seen a country that never struggled to clear its debt and be at least for one time be in surplus rather than continuously being in deficit. In deficit. We've been perpetually been in deficit for a very long time. How can you run a government in deficit? Any business you run in deficit is obviously going to crumble. It's going to go bankrupt. And the next thing you're going to see is, declare force majeure. So Nigeria is already going bankrupt and is going to remain in deficit for a very long time as long as the leaders are not making any concerted effort to recover from the debt. Meanwhile, know that Nigeria is not generating revenue from the oil and gas, the GDP, and from the internal IGR of the nation. The money is there, but just that people have ganged up to confiscate the money for their own use. That is it. They say Nigeria is broke, but individual politicians are richer than the country and richer than some other West African countries. How can you explain that? A country is broke, but its citizens are very, very rich. So that is the irony of the state of the country. Quite unfortunate. So thank you for listening, and let's have your comment. Okay.